Hi, my name is Billy. I read books, and sometimes I read books that send me into a bit of a reading slump. And unfortunately, that's what happened in the month of June. Because in June, I only completed 2 books. I did read or start reading the third one that I continued, but that was a big book, and that had its own issues associated with it. So let me tell you about it. But before I do, if you like this video in any way, shape or form, consider giving it a thumbs up, a Billy big thumb, hit the like button. And if any of the books I talk about get on your TBR, consider subscribing to the channel. Okay, so first book I read in June was this, An Echo of Things to Come by James Islington. Book 2 in Lycaonius. I've done a spoiler-free review for it, which I'll link in the comments below. And I gave it 3 stars. I got bogged down in this massively. It's about 700 pages long. It's a chunky book, and yeah, got bogged down with it in the middle, and that's a bad place to be when you're reading a big book where you're not wanting to really pick it up, and when you do pick it up you can't really get going with it. But that's not so much of a problem because I have a cunning plan. I have a ploy that I use when I read, which is when I get to 50% of the way through whatever book it is I'm reading, I will then start my next book. That way it gives me something else to start reading. I can mix and match, and it means in that second book I can get through sometimes that tricky beginning bit so that I'm into it by the time I finish my original book. That normally works a treat. However, it doesn't when that second book is also a struggle. And that book was book 6 of Cradle by Will White, which was Underlord. And this series has been a bit 3 out of 5 all the way through pretty much for me. And the only reason I'm keeping on reading it is because I got them all for free when he gave them away for free digitally not too long ago. And yeah, it was pretty much the same as before with this one. It was it slowed down a bit in pacing, and people actually talked to each other for a bit longer, so that was better than the normal non-stop constant cycling and leveling up and training that they do and fighting. But again, it was just a 3-star read, and I was having trouble with it because as I was reading it, I was kind of just drifting away, and I'd be reading it and then my attention would go. And that's what I was doing with that. So I was trying to flip between both of these books, and I was having a problem with them both. So what do you do when you're in a situation like that? Well, what I did was I started a 3rd book. Well, I didn't start a 3rd book. I continued with book 2 of The Wandering Inn by Pirate Harbour. Now, I love book 1, spoiler-free review down below, and I've started reading this again. I was already doing a bit of it. Sorry, my dog's just moving. Settle down. I'd already read a bit of it, and I've been doing spoiler talk videos for it, which is fine. I'm enjoying doing those. I've done 1 video already for it, but the problem is I have to make notes. So I'm reading that book, I have to stop to make some notes. I carry on reading it, I have to stop to make some notes. It's not really working for me. I'll go back to book 1, I'll go back to this bad boy, and I'm struggling to read it. So I put it down, so I pick up Cradle again, and I'm struggling with it, and then I put it down, and it just ends up in a bit of a mess, really. So June has not been the best reading month for me. So that means for July, I need to change things up. So in July, I've got 7 books that I'm considering to read, and I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to read some science fiction, some short stories, and a couple of fantasy books around here. So the first one I'm considering reading, and the proviso for most of these is that they're short. I don't want to read another 700-page book. My plan was to go and read the 3rd book in this series in July, and I can't do it to myself. I will end up DNFing the series if I do that. I need a bit of a break from it. So one of the books I spoke about on a previous TBR video, which I didn't get around to, was Mickey 7. I can't remember the author's name, but this is a science fiction book where my understanding is that Mickey is one of a number of people who are basically clones, or they go out to do these dangerous jobs or tasks or whatever, and if Mickey number 1 dies doing this, then Mickey 2 comes out. He goes off and does whatever, and then he dies and Mickey 3 comes out, and so on. And this is a story about Mickey number 7. I know about as much of it as that. I don't know much more, but I think there's a film version of this being made. Another short science fiction book is I Am Legend by Brian Matheson. I watched a film version of this with Will Smith a good few years ago. I can't really remember much about it other than it was Will Smith, he had a dog, and when it got dark a load of monsters came out or something. Now I don't know how relevant that is or how accurate that is to the story itself, but it's a classic science fiction book, so it's short. I'll look to give that a go. Another classic science fiction book that's short is Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick. I think this will be, is this going to be the second one of his I've read? Because the other one was, what was the other one? What was the other one? Oh, it was nearly there. I nearly had it. What was it called? Come on, what's it called? Can't remember. I'll put it there. I didn't like it. That's probably why I can't remember the name. I didn't really like it. What's it called? Can't remember. So, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? This is the book that inspired Blade Runner. Now, I never really watched Blade Runner either, so I don't know why I'm saying this is a good book for me to read, but sometimes you might not like the film version. The book format might be good, and it's a classic, so why not give it a go? Fourth on the list is The Life of Pi by Jan Martel. It's only short. It's 300 pages, but it's not like it's small text or anything. So I should be able to get through that. I didn't watch the film of this when it came out. The cover is a lad on a boat, on a canoe thing with a tiger. So I'm guessing that this is fantasy in some way, because if that tiger was a normal tiger, it would rip him to pieces and eat him. So I'm guessing that's not the case. So I'm putting this down as fantasy. I don't know if it is or not. But it's short, it's snappy. I got it for, what did I get it for? I got this from a charity shop. It doesn't have the price. No, it doesn't have the price on it. I probably only got it for about 50p. So I'll give that a go and free some space up on these chocker block shelves. And then some short stories. I'm going to try Different Seasons by Stephen King. I believe this is one of his most popular books of short stories. I think the Shawshank Redemption, the short story for that is in this. Maybe The Green Mile, or maybe Stand By Me. But anyway, I think Mike from Mike's Book Reviews says that this book is fantastic, and he'd normally recommend people to try this because the 4 books, you know, for people who are new to Stephen King, because the 4 books are so different but all really, really good. So it's been a while since I read a Stephen King book. I think the last one I read was 11/22/63, and that's probably about a year ago. I gave that 4 stars, by the way. Then 2 fantasy books. If anything I've just read there isn't floating my boat and I want to come back to something that I think is more my style, I'm going to go for Blackthorn by Clayton Schneider, which is, from the blurb I've read, is going to be dark, violent, full of swearing and insults and humour, which is my thing. I like good insults in books, swear words, insults with swear words. Brilliant, that's my kind of thing. And then one of his pals is Michael R. Fletcher, and I'm going to risk starting a new series here, but Blackstone Heart, that's the first book in, is it the Obsidian Path series? I'm not sure, but I don't think this is particularly long either. I've got this book, I've got the next one as well. The only one I don't own is the 3rd one in this trilogy. And yeah, Michael R. Fletcher's books are dark, they're gruesome, and they're funny as heck. So both of those should give me a laugh if I want one. So that's the plans. I mean, I am a mood reader, so all this could go massively out the window and I could start Stormlight Archive over there. You never know. But let me know what you think. I'll see you again in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.